So hi, I'm Kaushik Gurumoorthy. I did my engineering from NIT Trichy, and then I went on to work as an investment banker for 2 years. And then after that, while working, I decided to do MBA and CAT, obviously. So I think it was around July I quit my job, and June I was searching for places to go and get help for like studying for CAT and everything, because CAT is a very, even though the exam might be simple when you look at it from outside, the intensity is very hard. And I was like, for me, I needed personal motivation and someone to guide me and take me along for the ride, because like to be able to maintain your concentration for a long periods, especially like 4 to 5 months, the intensity and the learning needed for it was very hard and quite taxing for me. So that's why when I was searching for places where they would personalize for me and be with one-on-one with me, I came across CAT mentorship, and then I contacted Madhu sir, and then he was very straightforward in the starting. He checked if you are interested and how willing you are to put in the hours, and he made sure that all the people that he takes in are the ones who are determined to do it and who are not like lousy or just want to do it and don't have the motivation for it. So all the people who join his courses, he does his due diligence and then make sure he chooses the people who are fit for it. Once he does that, so I'll say the main plus points of joining his course is he talks with all the students minimum twice a week, sorry, once in 2 weeks, and then he plans your schedule. He goes like personalizes for you. He looks at the number of hours you have, the work you're doing, how much time you can spare. He finds out where you're lacking, and then what all subjects you should be covering, and how much time you should like doing all those subjects for. Another thing that I would say that's very difficult for people who are studying CAT alone is that math, anyone can study math. There are a lot of books for it, and they've always studied math from books. So I wouldn't say it's the hardest to study from. But then when it comes to the other two sections, ALR and VARC, there are no good books for it. Like people who think you can study alone for it, there are no good books for it, and there are so much material out there right now, the internet and other coaching institute. You just have to declutter sometimes, and you don't know. Like suppose you're doing VRC, you don't know what you're not good at and what you're good at. Like reading comprehension, people might just say read a book and you get better at it, but it is not so simple. There are so many places like these where his expertise of been teaching for 15, 20 years comes in, and where he's able to identify where you're lacking and then where you need help. Suppose it's critical reasoning that you need. It's like a very niche thing, and you don't know how to get better at it. Or like reading comprehension, the method he has to remember what you're reading. Because like reading is something else, and understanding what you're reading is like totally different. Because when I started, I was like, yeah, I can read a newspaper, I read it. But then once I read the article, it's very hard to recollect and tell all the points that are there. So that's very intense reading that he teaches you and he like imbibes in you from the start. So all these minute things in the end adds up and then pays off. I mean, like these things are in the end becomes a life skill more than just studying for CAT, because when it comes to reading, when you become a manager or do anything else, reading reports and all that, this is something I think they don't teach you in classes in schools or even any other coaching institute. They just say read it, you read book every day, you read the paper every day, you're going to get better. But then there are small things which he pays attention to and then he teaches you. So he meets with us once in 2 weeks and then you get a schedule. Personally, for me, that was very important because I was I was made to follow the schedule, which really helps me a lot because every time when I look at it, I'm like, okay, I have something to do, I have something to do, I have something to do. Because with the advent of YouTube, Insta, and all that, we get easily distracted. We lose track of time. That was since I left my job. I had a lot of free time. And then if I don't follow the schedule, I could easily get distracted. So by having a schedule, it made sure that, okay, it's 8 o'clock right now. I should be doing this particular thing. I had like small targets of 2 hours, which made sure that I'm on track and doing what I needed to do. It kind of gave me a belief that if I follow the schedule that's been put in front of me, I'm going to do well. Like I knew, like people ask me, like if I study 20 hours a day, is it good enough? If I study 10 hours a day, is it good enough? I had like a confidence that if I can truly follow what's been given to me, I have a good chance of cracking the exam. Like that's the kind of confidence that was put in me, the improvement that I could see after like a prolonged period of a month or two, and all my weaknesses were being rectified. So once all this was happening, and then we used to have classes as well. He has really good coaching material where he teaches you. He's already taught. You can go through him. And then it's not like you can only meet him once in 2 weeks. You can contact him anytime. He's open to you. You can just call him. You can text him, and then he's always open to clarifying your doubts. And then it feels like a very personal connection that you have, which is not there in these mass institutes. And I feel like if you're really into it and you want that guidance, you should definitely try it out. But another thing I would say is like it's easy to get lost and lose motivation at times because you write mocks when you talk to your friends, and then personally for me they'll say that you need 99 plus to crack an exam and everything. Once you start writing mocks, you understand that there are so many people fighting for the same spot. It's easy to feel like you can't do it, or you're like being lost in the ship without anything. I feel he's like the lighthouse where he's like pointing towards you, or like the tugboat who's done it like thousands of times going in and out of the port, where he just guides you through it and then lets you go to the final mile. So in that way, I felt it was very, very, very helpful. Then he has his mindset and strategy sessions. I feel those things are very important for a person because once the clock starts or once the exam starts, everyone is on their own, and those 2 hours or 3 hours, depending on when you guys are writing it, is technically going to decide a lot of things in your life. If you're going to go to college that year or you're going to try it next year. So those 2 hours, how you're going to control your mind and how much you've trained for it is very important. And the strategies that he teaches you, make sure that there are no loopholes in those 2 hours. Like you mentally prepare for those 2 hours multiple times before even you sit for those 2 hours. You've gone through it multiple times, you have imagined it, you know that once you sit, this is what you're supposed to do. It kind of keeps your mind preoccupied and make sure that you don't panic. Because once you start, and then there's like you start. Well, first time when I was trying to write even mocks, I used to freeze up thinking, okay, this is the real exam. This is the real exam. What do I do? What do I do? And then your performance drops drastically. But then following all the strategies and following all the mindset that he's taught you, it helps you seize the moment and at least make sure that you do how much ever you can do, because at the end of the day, there's nothing called a perfect mock. You will make mistakes. There will be one or two things that don't go. But the end, it's about not panicking and sticking to your game plan, which is really well laid out for you here.